Well, COVID-19 has changed so many things. And in this segment, Andreas White Murdaugh talks with a local staffing manager about employees around the country that are reassessing career priorities. Here's that conversation.
In the midst of the pandemic, employment options and work environments have inevitably changed, causing a shift in thought process for many employees. We're joined by Jillian Wagner, branch manager for Robert Half, with some incredible new studies that they're working on. Hi, Jillian.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. This is such an important question and something that really affects all of us as we kind of cope with the changes we were forced to make in the midst of COVID-19. And Robert Half asked a critical question, and that was, is the pandemic a time of reflection? Because you're seeing that workers are starting to reassess their career priorities in the midst of it all. So tell us a little bit more about that study.
Yeah, absolutely. So we did a survey where we found that 57% of the people we surveyed were having some introspective moments about their career and how it was going to move forward with this company or maybe another company. And 60% of which said that they want to work for an employer that appreciates employees during unprecedented times. And I think all of us are going through that. I can say personally, you sit at home and you have your life mashed together, your personal life and your professional life, and you really start to think about, is this the career that I'm looking for? Is this the company that I want to be with? And really those thoughts are on employees' minds every day these days.
And it's so important because we're not only concerned about our work separate from the rest of our lives. That quickly became all one work environment. And I think it was very important for people to understand, or employers to understand, the many different facets of life that employees are now working from. So were you surprised to see that the results may have been different or the same based on people who were trying to manage small children or school-age children, or those who may not have had those scenarios?
Everybody's feedback was very similar, whether they had human babies, fur babies, no babies. It seems that everyone was just taking a moment to look at, how is my personal life going? How is my professional life going? How is homeschooling my children going? And just managing it all. Everyone is just taking some time to really look at it. And I think that employers have a real opportunity to showcase to their employees, here's how our work-life balance works. Here's how the work you're doing directly affects our company, our mission statement, and also what they're doing in the community as far as outreach. I think that employees are really finding value in that more often, but specifically that work-life balance, really looking for an employer that can be flexible and appreciative of all of the hats that everyone is wearing right now.
And I would expect, and maybe you see this often, that there's often a difference in opinion as far as work-life balance and the needs that people have depending on their generation. In your recent studies, are you seeing that there's still a difference there, or is that starting to kind of change?
We still see that the younger generation, and Robert Half has done a ton of studies on this, really values work-life balance as well as community outreach and mission statements within their companies. But what we are seeing is that the collective whole, all employees, are really looking at their company's options for work-life balance, how flexible their companies are with maybe having to take a chunk of time in the middle of the day and then go back to work in the evening because their kids are at home, or they have different priorities because they are at home. So we're seeing, yes, that younger generation, that's something that's very important to them. We're seeing the collective whole. Everyone is really looking at, how flexible is my employer and what are they doing to help me through this really emotional time of balancing everything being mashed together in one place.
It's so interesting because, we're also working with people in different ways, not seeing them face to face, having meetings by Zoom or by conference call, and the level of retention or even just overall employee morale may be changing. So what do employers need to be doing to make sure that they're still keeping people excited, engaged, but also not burning them out?
Yeah, I think that those are things that employers really need to think about. I think what's first and foremost is that we need to listen as employers. We need to understand from a overreaching all of our employees, what's going on, how are they feeling, how the work-life balance is actually trickling down into people's homes, and then also individuals, talking to individuals about what they're looking for, what they need. I think when it comes to retention, companies have got to make sure they're still paying well for the job that's being done the same way that other companies are paying for those jobs to be done. So your compensation has to remain competitive. But now more than ever, the wellness benefits that companies are offering, whether it's webinars to help people emotionally get through these times, also flexibility. We've said it a million times in this call, work-life balance is important to everyone right now. And you can't just say it. Like, what are you actually doing to provide work-life balance to your employees, and then to show them, hey, these are the different ways that we're being flexible. And retention really needs to be on the mind of all employers right now. And those are the things they need to be thinking about.
And for those who maybe were affected by unemployment during this time frame, what's your best advice for those?
Looking for a job is often a full-time job. I say that to people all of the time. You have to put in the work. I think first and foremost, now's a great time for you to really understand, what are you looking for in a company? What are you looking for in a career? Are you going to change paths? Are you going to stay on the same path? Really knowing that and understanding that when you're out there on the hunt. I think also just making sure your network is intact. There's a ton of networking that's still happening virtually. There's a lot of networking events in Richmond specifically that are being hosted via Zoom, via Teams, and via video conference. So making sure that you're well networked, researching some companies that you think, hey, maybe I want to join this company, and learning a little bit more about them. Obviously, you can try to do some projects or temporary work. Robert Half would be happy to talk to people about that, to keep kind of your resume going while you're on the hunt. But just to make sure, you're really taking this time to understand what you're looking for, and that you're dedicating the time to go out there and to be looking for a new opportunity.
Well, thank you for sharing those studies with us, and for the studies that you continue to do to help us all better understand where we are in the world of employment and how that fits into our everyday lives. We so appreciate you being with us.
Thank you so much.
And for those of you who are interested in learning more about Robert Half, their services, and the incredible studies that they're doing in the marketplace, be sure to visit our website at WTVR.com/DTM.